Come to order. 6:31. I'd just like to start off with just reminding everybody of board etiquette, board meeting etiquette. Try to give each other time, 3 minutes. Don't interrupt. If you've got something to say, just make it short and sweet and be polite. Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and.
Yeah.
It's already alarm. That's the time of the day now where the dusk is going into the night. So I want to greet each one of you for being present and being involved with the process. And we always welcome your support for sure. So I'd just like to call the hearts together. And so grateful for our commemoration on Saturday. And we just felt very powerful to see everyone in the circle of friendship and community. So thank you all for that, for making that happen. We always ask that we have the right intention of the heart so that we could find the solutions to our restoration of our community and the members and tragedies and the disastrous experiences that each one of them went through. So our hearts go out to all of them. And I'm looking forward to your involvement in restoring Leilani in the way that she did, which is new. So we encourage you to become. Bless you, each one of you, and thank you for being present today as we share together. Amen.
Roll call.
Real quick roll call. Chris?
Here.
I know.
Yes.
I'm here. Robert is absent.
Robert's in Japan and he's watching us right now having lunch.
Hey, Robert.
I don't mean to be rude, but who are you?
Chris Burmeister.
Thank you.
President.
Heath Dalton.
And what are your positions?
President. Vice President.
A Coleman. Yeah, I'm looking at the CCRs. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first up is Andy Andrews' update for the Squire Committee.
Okay, so Victor, you guys will pass these down. Here's the updated stuff. Ones for you guys. Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. Okay, so I'm the chair of the Leilani Estates. We now call it the Seeker Committee, SECR, Squatter Elimination and Crime Reduction Committee. And just as a reminder, since committees are relatively new to the Leilani Community Association, Robert's Rules of Order Section 52 says that committees, special and standing, it is usual in deliberative assemblies, which these folks are, to have all preliminary work done, the preparation of matter for their action to be done by means of committees. So in other words, the committee will take no actions nor render no decisions. They'll simply provide advisement to the board of directors, which is again this standard operating for a board committee. So this is the update on May the 9th. I'm not going to go through the charted purpose. That's already been approved and at a previous board meeting. I just put that in as a reminder to everyone who wasn't there. The first thing that we'd like to do is we'd like to submit our membership list to the board of directors for approval. It is normal and expected of a board committee that all of the members of that committee be submitted to the board for approval. The board has, in a normal Robert's Rules of Order procedure, has the right to reject any committee member for any reason they see fit, but there are certainly some reasons that committee members would be rejected out of hand. So our committee is going to be made up at the moment of myself as one of the two chairs, Alice Lindell as a co-chair, Michael Garbarino, who's here tonight, as the attorney assigned by the Leilani Estates Board of Directors by vote, who will be acting entirely in a pro bono status with the committee and reporting to the committee. Jay Travasky as an LCA resident, Cheryl Kaup as an LCA resident, Darrell Singleton as an LCA resident, Pete Wilson as an LCA resident, and 2 additional members have spoken to me and would like to have their names added to the committee, but they haven't been in a meeting yet. So until they attend the meeting, I'll hold off on submitting their names. So I would ask that you guys at the end of my presentation vote on the membership and remove anyone that you feel inappropriate for the committee. Otherwise, give us permission to go ahead with membership as requested. The second thing is that the agreement with the Hawaii State Court to utilize Mike Garbarino's pro bono community service hours was signed on the 7th by Chris Burmeister as the president of LCA and submitted to the Hawaii State Court. What that does is it guarantees that the time that Mike Garbarino is giving us is as community service hours and will be provided pro bono to Leilani Community Association. And also very clearly says that if at any point in time during that relationship that the Leilani board or the committee for any reason wants to sever that relationship, it can be done with no cause whatsoever. And it also guidelines the fact that we are obligated to keep track of the hours that Mike gives us and turn that in so that Mike's community service time has been met. I do want to say something, and I haven't told Mike I was going to say this, but when I asked Mike how many hours he had left for the community for pro bono time, he made a point of saying to me personally, he said, Andy, there's no way in the world I'm going to bail you on the middle of anything. So, and he said, that pro bono status will continue through that time. So I did want to acknowledge Mike's generosity already in that regard. The next new item is the action steps to be pursued by the Seeker Committee. And I'm just going to read down the list. You can follow along with me. First is that we intend to continue to actively pursue legal recourse to clear trespassers and criminals from known Leilani Estate properties where such activities have been identified. We have had, as many of you know, some wonderful successes already. We are continuing. One thing, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun on something you guys are going to address tonight, but I would like, the Seeker Committee would like to nominate our male person, Nova, as for a special acknowledgement by both the Seeker Committee and by Leilani Estates for her incredible part that she played in one of the arrests that happened yesterday. I know Chris was actively involved in that, but we expect him to be involved. The second item is collect from residents and neighborhood watch. Collect and document reported crime, trespass, and other activities, and determine if this information meets the legal defined condition of reasonable suspicion. The wonderful reason to have an attorney. The attorney can advise us very carefully on whether or not we're acting with meeting the criteria of reasonable suspicion or not. Obviously, things that don't meet that bar won't be dealt with, but the police can act on reasonable suspicion, so that gives us something to decide whether or not it meets that criteria. We intend to meet with Captain John Brisky and Community Patrol Officer Eddie Cardenas of the Pahoa PT for updated info. They've been incredible working with us, just incredible. The coordination and information that we're getting from them. We're working towards, or have just begun to work towards, creating and compiling a database of Leilani Estates homes that are at risk. That's the term we came up with. We want to tread very lightly in that regard because we obviously don't want to be sticking our nose where it doesn't belong, essentially. Obviously, we'll only be collecting information that is public record on county records or other public records. But what we're hoping to do is, with the cooperation of residents and Neighborhood Watch and anyone else who's appropriate to bring that information to us, is identify homes that you as residents or anyone else as residents is just concerned about. And what we'll do is we'll begin a process of identifying the owner of that home, reaching out to that owner, and some other steps that we will publicly detail to you at the next meeting. Again, this information will be collected by the combined efforts of Leilani Estates residents, Neighborhood Watch block captains, and the committee itself. I already said that. There's a new map being created that will break Leilani Estates into bigger, more manageable, or smaller, more manageable pieces. Jay Travasky's working real hard on that, and we will be able to provide that to Neighborhood Watch so that they can identify homes when they're on watch as to what homes we want kind of a special eye to be kept on. Then we intend to create and compile a database of suspicious cars and known and suspected criminals. We get a lot of that information from the police. They're very generous with that, surprisingly generous in terms of who we should be watching out for and who's trouble and what cars have records. There's also, many of you may not know, but there's a public database maintained by the state of Hawaii whereby you can look up any license plate from anywhere in the United States, and it will tell you if that car has known criminal affiliation. I looked up my own, and I saw that my ticket that I got for an expired inspection, which I beat because I told the judge that I was from somewhere else and I wasn't used yet to the idea of the registration and the safety expiring at different times of the year. And he went for it. But my ticket's there in the database. So anyway, the information will be shared with the Pahoa PD, but would also be brought to us by the Pahoa PD. And the info will also be shared to the Hawaii Prosecutor's Office, and we are getting information from the Hawaii Prosecutor's Office. We are wanting to do a better coordination of the committee information with block captain. Cheryl Kaup has begun to work on that already, and also with Neighborhood Watch in general. And then we have reached out to and intend to schedule future meetings with the committee with Rick Damerville, who's an incredible asset at the Hawaii County Prosecutor's Office, Ashley Kierkowitz, our county representative to Puna, who has also been very forthcoming with a lot of wonderful information, and Joyce Ann Buenaventura, who is our local state representative, who has introduced the squatter bill. It's probably not going to pass this session, but it's got some great goals, and she's wanting to meet with the Leilani Estates Squatter Committee to add more so that when it gets submitted on the next session that it gets a little more teeth. And then lastly, and always, we will be providing regular updates to the Board of Directors, such as tonight, and we'll be obtaining Board of Director approval on any and all committee activities. And our next meeting is this Saturday on May the 11th at 10 in the morning. It isn't an open meeting in the sense that we're not going to throw it open to the community, but we wouldn't keep anybody out, because if anybody would like to be a member of the committee, they could come to it. But what we're really looking for is not people to come and just observe the action, but to actually jump right in and be part of the committee. But everything that we do at those meetings will be documented in minutes, will be presented to the Board of Directors. Thank you.
Question? Of course. When you, I understand.
Is that okay for me to take questions?
Okay. Provide regular updates, I understand that's this formal, but like yesterday there was an incident. Is just telling Chris or Heath or Kyle Nohe, this is what happened, does that constitute providing a board update, or
Yeah.
if you tell one, is it the same as telling one?
Yeah. Our committee is not a criminal action committee. We have no intention whatsoever of getting involved in arrests or violation servings or anything like that. All of our actions are simply advisement to the board, and then the board in turn will make actions on behalf of the community. However, we will provide information directly to the police, and that's of course up to the police to act however they see fit.
So I guess really the question when it comes to the board, if somebody tells one of you, you communicate amongst yourselves.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
I do have a question. Yesterday I saw a car on Miley Street. I
Yeah.
took a picture of it, but
Yeah.
I called Alice, she's my
Yeah.
neighbor, but
Yeah.
for someone else, I mean, something like that, I don't necessarily want to post it on social
Right.
media, but can I send it to your
Yeah,
committee so
yeah,
they
thanks
have
for bringing that
access?
up. And we had mentioned this in a previous, I had mentioned this in a previous meeting. We have acquired a website, a URL, is that right?
You're on.
Yes.
Domain name, thank you. That's going to be used by the committee. It is not up and running yet. The address that's going to be used to send things to the committee is info@leilanisafe.com. It is not active at this time, so if you send something to it, it's going to bounce back to you. And then each of the board members, each of the committee members will have their own email address, and by virtue of us working with an attorney, all of our emails will be protected by attorney-client privilege, so we'll be able to have, so you'll be very confident to be able to send things to us and know that it will be very protected, if you so choose.
Yeah. You want us to vote on the names?
Oh, yeah.
We discussed them.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're good.
okay, so unanimously you accepted, okay, so the committee exists, ladies and gentlemen.
And do you want your email up and running now?
No, but give us one more meeting to get it squared away, and then I'll bring it to you, and then you can fire it up for us.
I mean, I can go ahead and, if you want to set up, I can set up now, you don't have to check it.
Yeah, I bought the name, the LeilaniSafe.com,
Okay,
and so I got that squared away. I'll be submitting the $36 bill to you guys. But I haven't set up the email, I forget what it's called, where you create the emails that are then linked to them.
well, I can set up the emails, I can give you the web hosting. I don't have time to design the site, but I can host it for free. And I'll give you the details.
That would be great, and we're actually not gonna even have a site. We feel that the LeilaniEstates.org should be the one and only site. We're only gonna be using it for emails.
Okay, then we'll just need to update on that records, I get with you, and we'll work on it.
Thank you, sir.
You're up.
Okay, the BOD candidate interviews are being scheduled. We have resumes from Rod Kendall, Cheryl Kapp, Mike Hill, and Andy Andrews. We have not received resumes from Cheryl Carroll, Ross Stadnick, or Philip, and there are issues with Philip, so I guess he's out.
Tomorrow. I'm going to submit it tomorrow.
You are?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe at least one person's already set up their interviews. Since Robert's been out, he was originally going to set them up, but since Robert's out, Kim has been setting those up for us. And let's move on to the old business. Okay, dog violation letters. I have one. I was working with Kim. She's trying to find the photos. Once she has the photos, I'm going to set up a meeting with the individual to talk to them. But there was another one. I don't know who was working that one. Who else had the other dog violation letter?
I signed one. That would be good.
So it's just being handled that way? Okay, all right.
Penny loss, or the Denny lawsuit. Where do we start? Basically, we're gonna have to, there's been, the newest development in this situation is we have new legal counsel regarding this lawsuit. It's being handled through the insurance company for Leilani Estates. So there is a deductible for the fees. So we'll pay out of our pocket basically up to a certain amount, and then the rest is on the insurance, but that's about as far as I can, that's all I'm gonna talk about that for now. Go ahead.
Can you tell us what that, is that $50,000?
$10,000.
How much?
10,000.
Okay. So that's our exposure.
Yeah.
So that would be the maximum exposure.
Right. Funds for Conkai Street. Who's working on that?
We do have a update or a quote from one person or one company, I'm sorry, not an individual. And we are looking at alternative solutions for funding. There's a few things that are out there that we're working with nonprofits. Nothing's been finalized, so we won't get into any specific details on that, but just know that's being worked on. The draft charters, those are not official yet. They are being currently reviewed by the attorney. Before we move forward, since they will fall under LCA, we just want to make sure that they're legally approved. There's a couple questions he had that we're going to go back for. They unfortunately just dropped in his lap Wednesday night, so he gave us some information fairly quickly. Actually, within a couple hours, he responded. So next meeting, we'll have the charters ready to hand out and get people ready to move forward on those. And anybody who is interested in any of the committees, be it the gate tourism, please send an email to Kim, which is the lca@hawaii.or.com for now. Let her know what committee you're interested in, and we're compiling that list. If you want to contact any of us individually, our email addresses are all at leilaniestates.org. It's our letter of our first name and our last name. So K. Burmeister, H. Dalton, was it Jeremiah, right? Okay, so K. Jeremiah, and they're all at leilaniestates.org. That's if you want to reach us individually. If you want to reach the entire board, it is BOD, Board of Directors, at leilaniestates.org. So that will send it to every single person. Then Roberts is rgolden at leilaniestates.org. But there's no reason to send H. Dalton at Cabermeister and BOD, because we just get the email twice. So if you want to hit everybody, please send it to BOD. If you want to do us individually, first letter of our first name and then our last name at leilaniestates.org. So you have an official way to contact us, so it's not at Gmail and this person's at Yahoo and this person's at somewhat. So that way it'll be uniform going forward. So that is officially set up and moving forward. Any specific points for the charters you want to bring up other than attorneys reviewing them?
That's where we're at with this. Go ahead.
You didn't mention the audit charter. Is that still in the works?
Yes, it's being reviewed by the attorney as well. Every single charter was in front of them. And I'm thinking on the gate charters, we kind of discussed this amongst ourselves of assigning groups to, all right, this group will deal with civil defense, this group will deal with the police department, this group will deal with this group, because there's so many steps that are involved in that. I have a full-time job, and so there's no way we can do it. So that has to be done through a committee. And it was voted on. People were interested in it, so we will pursue it, but it's going to have to go through the committees first. They'll bring stuff to us, and then we'll run with it from that point.
Just point of clarification, when you say, are we just talking potentially at the end of Leilani Avenue?
That's what the gate committee will be working on, is on that one. If it was up to me and I could get approval, if there's interest, we'll put another vote out, but we need 3 gates really is what we need in the neighborhood to control it, and that would shut down everything. We need Kapono, Moku, and Kahukai, and we're done. Then we have full control. So I have said I would like to do a vote on that through the community, but there's a few things I think we need input on the community, and I don't want to send out 70 different mailings and have $70,000 in stamps, so we'll do it all in one meeting.
Good.
I have 2 comments about the charters that after I reviewed them and got home. Is it all right if I comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. Time's up, right? Move it.
The one thing that I think that the board might think about on the charters for the committees, the real primary reason to have committees is to relieve the board of directors of work, because the premise is that the board of directors' plates are already full. The second reason is so that the committee can compile more opinions than just those of the board of directors. But I question the wisdom of having a board member sit as the chair of a committee. It's a little bit counterintuitive that the a board member would also chair the committee, because rather than relieving the board member of work, it would actually increase the board.
We have
member's
no
work.
intentions
Okay.
of chairing any
Okay,
committee.
and then the second thing is that I do want to say that it would be very unconventional for any board to be created that the entire membership of that board isn't subject to the complete approval and review of the board of directors. And I know that one or two of the charters mentioned that that wouldn't be the case. And I think the board needs to take that under review.
Anything that falls under the LCA, the committees will, it'll be advisory.
Great, thank you.
SBI line of credit. We were told on that from the previous person who was working on it that it was going to be dropped. It was under their name personally, under their social security number, which made absolutely no sense to me. So I contacted SBA 9 times, left 9 messages, never got a return call. So I actually ended up calling, asking for the manager of the individual, gave him my peace of mind, what was going on, that this person is not returning calls. Not sure why he's not capable of picking up a phone and dialing it. He apologized. Long story short, we have a new representative. They've extended it out, and we now have a contact directly to work with. And it's not under anybody's name individually. It is under LCA. We told them we need a minimum of 6 months because there have been new cracks on Cupono in the last 30 days. Actually, several in the last 90 days, really. But we have seen some in the last 30 days. So we decided we'll wait 6 months before we're looking at doing any repairs. As long as we can keep the gravel and stuff coming in from Mark to get it spread out, that'll keep us going for that 6 months. And then if we go 6 months and there's no more cracks, we'll move forward. If there's another crack, then we'll go 6 months from that time to give it time. We don't want to spend $500,000 what it's going to cost us to repair the roads just to have them crack right up again. It doesn't make any sense.
But it's not just those streets,
No, it's all.
anything in section 2.
Yeah.
And also things like the incredible rusting of the fences here within the LCA grounds. Essentially anything that could be contributed.
It could be.
That could be
I,
attributed
from
to eruption.
the cost of the roads, I don't know if there's anything left on the loan to fix anything else, but we'll see.
Well, as a rule, SBA money is allocated for specific line items as you get it. And so if we were to request more, I know that on my own home, it was given to me very clearly delineated as this much for that and this much for this. And so the more things you put on the laundry list, the more things they can consider.
We just had, when we were talking to him, we had road repairs, rust, and I think roof, because we haven't looked at the roof. Those are the 3 things that are on there. Anybody have any questions or comments on SBA loan? All right, we're on financial audit.
Financial audit. Move this. I think
That's in front of the, I don't know why that's a separate line item. Sorry, that's actually in front of the attorney as well.
Yeah.
Anything that you guys would like to bring up or have us look into review, because we're going to look at the bylaw changes that were. All right, just give you an idea. The previous board. These bylaws were we were told approved 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, and approved by the attorney. They've never been updated. So I don't know why. So we're going to review these changes. We just got a hold of these. So if there's anything you guys want to bring up prior to us looking at this, now would be a good time. It's probably going to be pretty boring for the next 15 minutes as we're going through this.
Anybody?
Gene, are those going to be posted somewhere where people who want to review them can review them?
They're going to be hidden forever. Nobody will ever know. If we agree with the changes that were previously made, if there's no additional updates to the group, so when Robert gets back, we'll verify that. If there's no additional updates that need made, then these have already been approved once by an attorney. So if there's nothing else changed, they will be updated and they'll be posted online. It's the same place where they're at now, except instead of having a telegram or something as a way to update people, we put an email and stuff like that. So it's been a while, obviously, since the telegrams in there, since they've been updated. So.
There are no more telegrams after 2015.
Was it really?
Yeah.
What about the singing telegrams?
Last one was you get singing versions of singing telegrams. Yeah, still there.
All right, let's take a look at these real quick since it's the first we've actually seen them.
So when you ask if there's anything else, are you saying go to new business or not?
Yeah, we're in new business.
Huh?
We're in new business now.
We're in new business.
Is there something you want to bring up?
Yeah, I would like to ask about the status of, there were some people who were going to build a road off the end of Malama Street. Where is the board on that?
We pretty much have to stay neutral on it because that's what our legal counsel suggested, advised us on. That's where it's at, and that's the road.
So, have you been in contact with the people who building the road, or are they still planning on building that road?
I understand that there was a grubbing permit applied for. I believe, this is just me personally, not officially LCA response, but that is the only road that did not get a blockade put on it. But the lava was so dangerous for everybody, we're all gonna die and run into it and kill ourselves, that they had to put a blockade on every single road. But for some reason, that one didn't. So my assumption is, there's a reason they didn't do that. Whether they had, I'm sorry?
The road, it's a private road, right?
Malama, yes.
Malama's a private road, and the CCRs say that private road is for the sole use of members of the community, of Leilani Community Association.
I think the attorney is going to address your concerns in an email.
But at this point, the board is neutral on that.
It's according to the attorney, it's a non-LCA issue. And for us to get involved in something that isn't an LCA issue, then we're overstepping our bounds.
Right. But at the same time, then the question becomes, if somebody comes in and wants to use a private road in Leilani for use and make its use for something other than members of the Leilani Corporation, who's going to step in and say you can't do that? Because under
I'd have to have my attorney right here, our attorney right here, to answer every single question you're asking right now. That's the only smart thing to do. So I'm not going to answer that. All I know right now is there's a road that's been cut already at the very end of Malama, right?
What's your response?
And who's
That's been
filed?
for a couple
I mean, how long has that been there?
I don't know, I have no idea when it was done.
And
2 months.
has it been about 2 months?
Oh, it's been
I
almost-
haven't heard hardly any complaints about it.
And it's for a Leilani resident.
It's only for the lady down there.
No, it's what, the road that's in is, doesn't go beyond the existing end of Malama, as far as I know. Just,
Is that
the lady down there is parking at that end and walking into her house.
What's been discussed is not a road, but a driveway.
right?
Well, that's something that has to be determined.
The issue is when they put in the original road, I know 2 people went down there, or when they put in the original driveway. When the 2 people were down there, talked to them, said, hey, you need to get the LCA approval. They said, we're not going to deal with those DAMN people. This was the other board. And then they just moved forward and put it in. And then they told the people that eventually it's going to be a road to Pohiki. That's what the actual operator said. So that's what's caused all the back and forth. So now they're saying, no, we never said that, but I know 2 different people who were down there that specifically said that's what they were told.
Yeah, well, the survey that shows the road shows it connecting to Monopuna Gardens. So I mean, to another subdivision. So it's labeled that way by the surveyor. I'm not sure who paid for that, but anyway. And the surveyor calls it a road, and it runs to multiple properties. It's not a driveway.
It sounds like it's just going to have to go to the attorney.
It's going to be out of
It's going to be.
It's gonna
I
have to
mean,
be.
that's the route it seems like it's
The
going.
question I had that question because before I got calls from yourself and from Robert Golden, both pushing building the road, putting the board on that side of it.
I'm not pushing it. I can't. It's not something I can stop. It's not something you can stop.
Well, no,
It's not.
the
something
board of
free.
directors, it's private property under the control of the Leilani Corporation.
You have
We
to.
can control who accesses it. The Leilani Corporation can.
We've consulted with our attorney. He's advised us. I don't know what else to say.
It's something that's gotta be handled legally.
Yeah, the judge is gonna have to decide.
I'm not gonna stand out there and block a bulldozer.
Yeah.
I say that. I got better things to
And,
do.
and the situation down there is kind of deteriorated a bit with certain individuals going way overboard, and you know who I'm talking about. So that's causing a whole nother layer of problems here. So that's, I mean, that's the situation. Let's just let the attorneys handle it, because that's just,
So have they been told to put the project on hold until there's word back from the attorney?
all I know is a permit has been initiated. That's what I was told. So that's all we have. How long that takes, I have absolutely no clue.
Okay,
How long it's
so-
gonna take.
One more question. The CCRs say that it's for, those roads are for the sole use of Leilani members. So if this road goes on to private property where people aren't members of the Leilani Community Association, then it's
If there's
not-
specific questions, Mark, send them to us, so we can get them to the attorney.
I think you've already sent these same questions to us via email, and the attorney's gonna get with you tomorrow. He will fire off an email to you.
May I ask, I don't know you, who are you?
I'm Mark.
Mark.
Mark Figlin.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I don't know you either. Who are you?
Andy Andrews.
Okay.
Yeah, so you live down that way, down?
Rich Williams, that little one.
Okay, great. I just love to put people with a place, so, thanks.
Anything else before we move on to the Bible?
I have a simple question. We're talking in this issue, the end of Malawa, South Malawa, Lower Malawa, extending it, okay? And that would be new turf,
No,
maybe. I mean, I'm not asking, that's,
I think that's worded incorrectly. Go ahead.
well, it's different than extending Kahukai to get to the homes that are still standing.
Absolutely.
Following the path of
Two different
Kahukai.
situations.
Yes,
Completely.
exactly. That's all I wanted to say. They're two different things entirely.
The problem with that is the channel. I mean, the dozing of making that a doable thing is how they're.
Would that come out of SBA potential funds?
We're looking at, I mean, I hate to use it, but we are literally looking at all possible avenues to get those people back in. I mean, to be honest with you, if it was my house, there already been a road in there. Yeah, I wouldn't have asked for permission. I'd have somebody come out and pop it in and, oh my God, there's a road. How'd that get there? Nice. But, I definitely know what they're going through. I mean, I had no house to go back to and I still put a road into mine. So yeah, if it was mine, yeah, there's no question. There is a road.
It's the 50, 60 foot drop into the channel on both sides.
See, the issue, once he can get down in, but then he can't come straight up, so then he has to go on private property to find a way, so that's,
You gotta put the dozer on the other side.
and then we're talking to somebody that has an excavator that feels that they could dig through there, so we're looking at several different alternatives. So
I just
that,
want to make it, they're two
It's not an
separate
easy
issues.
fix.
It's not what?
It's not an easy fix. It's not an easy road to restore. So.
anything else?
I apologize, this is my first meeting and I don't really know the protocol. Is this for board members only to stay new business or for anybody?
We're a little different than the previous board, we actually allow people to talk, so.
I would respectfully like to request speed bumps on South Capano. I just want to give you a few facts. To my calculations, traffic on Capano, South Capano is up 3,584% since it was pre-eruption.
I'd actually say it's higher than that, but,
Okay,
I mean, a busy day there, because I live there, a busy day on Capono pre-eruption was 8 cars.
I got 12, but that's a 24-hour period.
And then, I mean, on Christmas Day, we had 100 and almost a half an hour.
Right, so, no. And it's the speeders that are the problem. Fully, 80% of the vehicles that come, they are speeding, excessive speed. And 80% of all the speeders are in brand new big white trucks, or brand new white sedans, or brand new white passenger vans. And I don't see a single car in the parking lot that looks like any of these vehicles. They all have tinted windows that are rolled all the way up. 40% of them stop at Fisher 9, but the rest of them all go down the end of the road and take a left. And where the hell they're going, I don't know, there's not that many people
Why
that
not?
live there. And the other 20% are large commercial vehicles, dump trucks, tow trucks, just big vehicles. It's going excessive speeds over the steel plates and the dirt roads, and they're flying. I've talked to people who live on Malama that say their children can't play in the driveways anymore because of these dangerous, reckless drivers.
Well, Cupono's the new Leilani. If you look at Moku, it's at an angle, so that road should deteriorate much quicker than Cupono. Moku looks like it was just scrapped yesterday. I mean, there's everybody is Cupono.
The people that live here, you can tell they all drive with the windows down. If you're out there working in the yard, they all stop and talk. But these people, the windows rolled up, tinted, you can't see who they are, and I don't know where the hell they're going, but there's an awful lot of them. They're all headed that direction.
Yeah, they all go to the backside. Ask Cheryl.
They're all headed down to the lower areas to look at the lava. That's exactly what they're doing.
And so I am respectfully requesting speed bumps for them, or
We
I'm
can
gonna have to put up a
add
sign
it.
that says not responsible for damage to speeding vehicles.
We're looking at another street now for speed bumps. We can look at Cupono as well. First thing we have to do is contact everybody that's on that street that's going to be affected the most. That's my first concern. Any of those are the people that will be affected the most on those. And if it's approved, if we have a majority vote, we will. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
I have a question too. We're on North Cupono and I almost got hit coming out of my driveway the other day by a car speeding by, so it's not that I want speed bump, but it's not really catered to the south Cupono too. One other thought though is there's been a discussion about having decals, Leilani said decals for our cars, which I think would be a good idea just to be able to identify people that are residents. Not that it couldn't have been circumvented or counterfeited or whatever, but it would be nice if we had a little sign in our window that said Leilani and say, oh yeah, that's somebody who lives here.
I live here, back up.
Yeah, I live here, get out. Anyway, it's a thought. Thanks.
There's actually been a lot of discussion about that. It's something we could potentially look in or get a cost and maybe people buy them for $5 or something, whatever the printing cost is. I personally think it'd be a very good idea. Because half the time I'm looking and I know they don't come because
Everybody's getting rid of their placards. You know, I don't even drive with my placard anymore. I had it in there forever. But,
So, you guys looking at a bumper sticker or window decal? Or you could care less?
I don't know, any kind of identification, just so, I know what Chris's car looks like. I know what some of the people's cars look like, but somebody drives down, I don't know who it is, if it's Leilani resident.
okay. Windshield.
Windshield, or whatever. Doesn't have to be big.
All right, we'll price them out and see what it comes out to. That's easy to
What?
Another alternative to speed bumps is, I was even thinking, perhaps these people don't know what the speed limit is on residential streets. Never mind here. Maybe we just need more, but there's only one at the beginning. And once it starts looking like apocalyptic wasteland, it really looks like a freeway, and people start driving that way. When it starts sounding like a freeway, that's when I have to bring my truck down and I park it in the road, just to give them, so they have to
Every cruise ship
slow
day,
down.
yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. You did miss a couple, but you always got Tuesdays. I'm down there a couple times a day, checking on my place, so I definitely go to the traffic one. Absolutely. All right, let us,
Can I bring up one more thing? The sawhorse barricades that you have up with signs on them. If you put something up in the road like that, according to FHWA, METCD, and the court and all other regulations, that you have to put crash-tested devices up. If you put something up other than crash-tested approved, and FHWA has a site where you can go look and see what's approved. If you have other things in the middle of the road, and somebody hits it, and part of it comes through the windshield and hurts them or something, Leilani Corporation will be liable. So you might want to look at.
where'd you see that at? What is it?
The only thing used to be that they approved them based on design, and they found out they had problems with them, so now they actually, when a manufacturer has a type of barricade or something, they crash test it. If it passes the crash, is fine. So you need to at least have a crash-worthy certificate from FHWA.
Might be cheaper to do gates.
So, like if you look at where there's the signs up by the plates, and where those are the crash tested ones. Those little sawhorse type things that fold out, those have been crash tested, those are okay. But to build something out of 2x4s and somebody hits it, 2x4 flops up, goes through the windshield, and hits them in the noggin.
We actually changed the design, because originally it had 4 or 5 foot spikes coming out. Pointing
Yeah.
I got vetoed on that one. All right, that we weren't aware of, but I know talking to Mark and Jenny and right, Cheryl, I went blank. They mitigated like 90% of the traffic on the back. I know the first weekend they were up, they said it's the first normal weekend they've had since it's been open. So.
Yeah, I know. I think they're a good idea. I just want you to,
that's not something we were aware of planning, so we'll look into it.
I'm sure the cost difference is gonna be outrageous, but
it's government. Yeah, you gotta decide where you wanna fall on that part.
but how I
That's
guess
why they have to cheaper the gates, but a little bit. All right, let's take a peek at these. You guys want to review them in silence or just read them real quick silently and then go back through and see? Okay. So after things, just see if we agree with these, and then when Robert gets back, we'll see if there's any additional changes. And if we're good, we can vote on it and move forward and get these things updated. Oh, this was for you.
Are you guys going to take any input tonight on bylaw changes?
What's that?
Are you guys going to take any input tonight on bylaw changes?
Sure, when we're done reading this, you can give us.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Like I said, the next 15 minutes is going to be boring, so if you guys want to talk amongst yourself, you can just watch us read whatever you want to do.
Is there a place where we can access a copy of that?
No.
Okay.
Will they be posted?
When the changes are, all right, anybody have any new business? We got to that a little quicker.
new business.
Referencing bylaws or other?
You said you had something on the bylaws.
Yeah.
What did you want?
Yeah, I'd like to have the board of directors consider doing away with the concept of the proxy vote. It's becoming more and more prevalent in homeowners associations that the proxy vote is being used manipulatively rather than being used positively. And so I think that the board of directors should at least do some research into the elimination of proxy voting and it be stricken from our bylaws.
I would agree that it's definitely being manipulated, but I think proxy votes are important. There's a lot of people that aren't here. They're not aware of what's going on, so they have somebody they trust, and they're saying, here, vote on our behalf.
In the research I've done on the last 3 elections, there were 6, 4, and 7 proxy votes that were used. And so I don't see it as I understand what you're saying, but I don't see it that has been, in fact been the case.
There was a lot more than 6 proxy votes last time.
Yes, there were.
Yeah.
Yes, there were.
Yeah.
And with that said, that's the very reason why I think the board of directors should at least do some research on it. And Keith, I appreciate what you said, but I think the board behooves itself to do a little further research into the upsides and downsides of maintaining the proxy vote.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Thanks.
Anything else?
The other dog letter was, I don't know what it was, I'm not looking to knock on. It's like this thing to say F you.
No, not that one.
Okay, that was we need to figure out. Here's the original bylaws I brought. This is the one that I had.
You got it?
So I'll get back with him on that. Anything you need to address or bring up? Nope. Any input from the members? Otherwise, we will actually adjourned.
Anybody?
Are there any highlights you can give us for what you just read, or how are we moving forward?
Yeah, basically we went through the old changes that for some reason never got implemented.
I mean, there are really serious
for 3
things,
years.
so we changed the address from KL to actually here.
Yeah, it was just various things that had been.
We updated the meeting day where we do the votes, where they do the new board, because that was, and here was listed in January. We changed the telegraphing to email. There was some stuff referencing the first lot and people buying in, so that's been removed out.
Outdated.
There's a couple things that we need definitions on or changes on that are not in this. So all we did on this one were review the changes that were already obviously not implemented, but that were researched by an attorney and the board 3 or 4 years ago, but for whatever reason has sat for 3 or 4 years. You can't say it's because of the eruption, because that's only been a year ago. So why it sat that long, I don't know. But so those are the things that we went through and agreed to the changes in there. Then we're going to review everything that's in there to see if there's any additional things that we think should be changed or not changed. Email. They did change a section to require bonding from an option of being bonding that you have to be bonded. The one thing that we question on there is who's paying the bond. I'm already donating. We're all donating hours and hours. I'm not paying $1,000 for a bond to get my time free. If they once required bond, then it needs to say that LCA is going to pay the bond. I mean, it's just a bond. So, and they do have bonding for the treasurer, and it specifically states there that LCA will cover it. So if they want bonding for the other people, they're going to pay for that as well. Change in the, that's the bond definition. One of the Roman numerals was written backwards, so that's being corrected. IX versus XI. And stuff talking about the lot assessments being $15 and the first people coming in, how that board works, that's got changed. I think the largest thing that was probably changed was the assessments, any special assessments. Used to be, you have to have an affirmative vote of not less than 60%. That was changed to 51%. We agree with that, but even at that, it has to be the 51% of the entire membership corporation. That'll never happen. Even at 50%, it's not going to happen. There's too many people we can't get a hold of. But so we changed that to 51%, or agreed to that change. Payment assessments, that is April instead of March. And that's when so this is going with the current thing. Deleting out, like I said, talking about the original owner and number of board of directors, the first 3. So the board of directors going forward is always 7. Well, maximum of 7, minimum 3, maximum 7. So we changed that to 7 from 3. And I think that was, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes.
One note, you said 3 or 4 years ago on the review for the lawyer, HR 21J, I think had a big change in 2017, which is 2 years ago. So you might want to just have it go through again to make sure.
Oh, this will go, there's 2 stages for this. All we were doing was agreeing or disagreeing on the previous approved changes. We're going to go through them again, see if there's any changes that everyone on the board believes or community input thinks should be changed. Once we have all those with these changes, we will send them to the attorney if we have any additionals and say, hey, we're not, we're, from a board standpoint right now, I feel that we're in our nightmare scenario. What I mean by that is it's 100% new board. So we have no input from previous board members, which on several things has actually been to our advantage because things were being done wrong. But still, I don't think you're comfortable. I don't think you're comfortable on going out saying, all right, this is what we're doing. Let's get her done. Just because we don't know. We want to make sure everything is on the up and up and done right. It has to be. I mean, absolutely has to be. And there was one, I won't bring that up. There's no reason to bring that up. So I won't. But we've been, we take one step forward and then sometimes 7 steps back because of issues that have been kicked down the road. So we're like, all right, we're doing this. What do you mean we have to deal with this, this, and this, and this, and this? And there were things that were specifically kicked down the road, not dealt with. Denny is a perfect example. When we met, the new board found out about the lawsuit from our secretary. Sent us the paperwork, and we're like, what in the world? So we did have a meeting with the attorney, and turns out the previous board was well aware of it. And they said they were advised you need to respond within 30 days or whatever it was. And the response he told us he got was there's a new board coming in and they'll deal with it. So there's a lot of things we're dealing with that we shouldn't have to be, but that's what we're here for. So, you know, we'd rather be up here doing a song and a dance and having fun, but it's not going to happen. But we're positive. I mean, we're getting a lot of stuff done. We're moving forward. So that's our biggest concern is there's the day-to-day functions we're going to take care of. There's no question on that. The larger things like we're voting on, if we re-vote on a gate, the larger things definitely have to have community input. But the day-to-day things, hey, you guys added email addresses. Yeah, we did. Well, you didn't ask me. Who cares? We put email addresses on there. So there's things, the day-to-day stuff, that's what we've been elected to do. But from day one, I said the larger thing has to have community input. And it's more important now than ever because it's still Leilani Estates, but it's new Leilani Estates. And more important than ever, we actually have people interested, and there's never been that before. So we need to take advantage of that and get people's input, and we'll grow forward. I mean, you know, some people look at the eruption as destruction. Some people look at it as change. Some people look at it as building. So it depends on how people look at it. But we all have the common thing, Leilani Estates. We all want what's best for community, and we all have lived through that. And there's not that many people can actually say that they've experienced it. Most people have seen it on TV, they've seen it in National Geographic, BBC, wherever, where we can actually say we lived through it. I mean, that's huge in my opinion. It's one thing to see it on TV, it's another thing to live through it, smell it, feel it, and experience it. Completely different. So we're taking advantage of that, everybody. Any input for anyone else?
Just a comment. On social media, there are a lot of people still assuming that things are happening that aren't. And I think we need to continue, you as a board and we need to continue to tell people, this is just being discussed. That the decisions haven't been made about certain things. You know, people go off on all these tangents when it really has not been decided.
Actually, you can't put anything on the internet if it's not true.
Yeah.
I've read that on the internet.
We're forming committees to talk about it. We're just talking about it.
That's the really weird thing about, I'm not a social media, I'm not on Facebook. My wife is. Every now and then I'll post under her name, but if you have a question, everybody has our email addresses now. Everybody knows it's BOD@LeilaniEstates.org. That'll get the entire board. So if anybody has any questions, I mean, there's several people who have called me. Hey, Heath, is it? I don't know. No, that's not. There's people that have my personal number, but now everybody has a way to contact us. We're going to actually, I can update the website. I can post email addresses on there for everybody. And nobody's really had a way in the past, you know, oh, hey, you see somebody, let's talk to them. But now we're trying to make it where people have easier access. They can reach out to us. I'm not going to post my personal cell phone on there for the whole world to call and yell at me, but they've got an email address. They can yell at me an email address. It'd be the first person.
I don't know.
You know what would be helpful if you just put your names and what your position is, and, you know, so you know who you are, what you do.
It'll be on the website.
Anybody else? Meeting adjourned?
Thank you, everyone.
Mahalo.